It's the Anfield Wrap. Neil Atkinson with Ben Johnson, Gareth Roberts and Rob Gutmann. Your show this week is focusing predominantly on Liverpool versus Newcastle, but we will have a little tiny bit of a chat about Napoli, not least because it knocks on to why maybe the manager picks the team that he picks. And let's start there. Ben Johnson, no Firmino, no Henderson. May well have wanted to get some minutes into Oxlade-Chamberlain's legs as well. That might have been a factor. Goes with Origi to start with. That was as much as the rotation went to, but I think it does suggest he has got an eye on Napoli, up to a point.
Yeah, I think he's going to take. I think he's going to take every opportunity to not get minutes in certain players' legs. So at some point over the next few weeks, he's not going to play the front three full whack every game. So they're going to take it in turns to have a little laugh out. And as long as they can get not having to play, like see Henderson on Saturday didn't come on at all because he didn't really need to. Ideal. Firmino, not so much. Probably idea was we don't play him if we don't need to. Has to come on. Because Div gets injured. So I think that'll happen loads actually. I think we'll be properly rotating now for the next 2-3 months.
He doesn't rotate that much even at this stage last season, Rob, but he does do little bits and pieces, and I do agree with Ben. I think he might do just a tiny little bit more, as Ben says, maybe quite focused in on one or two or three, rather than the idea of doing en masse changes.
Yeah, it's interesting just the way things fall though in this early phase because of those two the key fellas who you're changing and you risk knowing about it are Salah and Mane in particular, and because they're being freed from international duty for the break just gone and the one just to come, there's actually not much case for leaving them out of any games until you get to deep September, I think. So I don't know what fixture akin to Burnley away we've got in mid-December, but that'll be the one I think they might find themselves left out of. The rest of it, it's rotation without even touching the sides, as we sort of saw at the weekend. You can take the midfielders out and drop in lads left, right and centre. Okay, Firmino did prove there is quite a bit of a gap between him and Big Div, and then some, but still, I think he can rotate without it looking too serious.
I think that there's knock-on effects, I think, first 10, first 15, Gareth, in that there's the idea of what international football does. They all go away and it must almost like they're playing with different quality of players, and they're almost playing with different coaches who ask different things. Yeah. And I think you've seen it a few times where they come back, and I thought Fabinho was brilliant for 70, but looked a bit in and out for 20. I thought Matip was a little bit out. There was just a tiny little bit of rust, wasn't there? Almost like they're trying to remember how all this is meant to work again, and then as soon as they do, they just look like Liverpool.
Yeah, there was international break hangover a little bit at the start. There was 12:30 kickoff, arguably hangover at the start as well. But they got there in the end, didn't they? And I think we just got to sort of be respectful of what they're doing. I mean, you look at Firmino, he's playing against Peru in Los Angeles at essentially 6 o'clock in the morning English time, and then he's got to get his head round to being back on our time and being fit to play and all the rest of it. And they did the private jet thing again to get him and Fabinho back. So for him to come on and be as good as he was and as fresh as he was and as brilliant as he was after all that, fair play to him, because I've been to America and Australia and things like that and fucked for about 2 weeks afterwards. So I think we just got to sort of bear that kind of stuff in mind.
I don't think he bevies on the plane as much as us.
Well, no, there is that. But you know what I mean?
Or maybe he does actually.
It just messes with your head though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And
absolutely.
Time zones and all that. And I know that they've got sort of experts, if you like, with them, managing the sleep and managing what they do and all the rest of it. But you see that the piece Piercy wrote a while ago about the Super Cup, where they had all these grand plans of getting them back at such a time and doing this and them having a kit, but then Henderson's got to do a test, a doping test post-match, and so ends up hanging around for hours doing that and doesn't get any kip. So all of that kind of stuff matters, and all of that comes into play, and that's why I think I get the idea that there'll be a certain amount of forward planning, but I think also you've got to continually react to adversity as well, which is what happened at the weekend. And again, Liverpool did it. That's what's so good about this version of Liverpool and this management and these players. There's almost a reason every week to feel sorry for yourself, and they don't, and they always find a way to win. And that's Liverpool going 1-0 down to a worldie from a lad who's never scored before in about 3 years, hitting it on his wrong foot in the top bin. And they took a little bit of a while to react to it, but when they did, and when they found the groove again, and when Firmino was on the pitch, it could have been 5, 6, 7, 8, and no one would have complained.
I saw an interview with Andy Robertson after the game, and he had a weird opening quarter to that game before he suddenly clicked into gear. He couldn't do anything right. But he was
like that tackle turned the light on for him, didn't it, as well as us?
Yeah. He was saying, though, I thought it was interesting. He goes about just how disruptive the international break can be. He said, you're suddenly away playing different systems with different people, and all that rhythm and concentration you've got with your club team and the way you're doing things. And you can see we're very much a team that benefits from being in rhythm and getting time on the training. But she said it's all changed. Suddenly everything's changed, and for 2 solid weeks you're doing entirely different work. So to come and switch back in, it's not automatic. You have to sort of find your way into it. And I thought it 100% showed. And as Ben said, 12:30 as well. It was. And quietly, it was against us as much as it can be at home to Newcastle.
I think the other thing as well is that, it's all well and good Newcastle aren't up to much, but what Steve Bruce poses, the difficulties he poses for a lot of sides, especially and a lot of Liverpool sides over the years, is it's this horrible 10-man defensive block, which is just born to frustrate, and it's taking time out the game, and it's people being down injured, and it's people running for the ball really slowly to take a throw in, and it's all that is designed to frustrate, and then perfect thing happens for him, and then they score, and they think, right, we're just going to sit and hang on. And I think for a home side, 12:30 kick-off after an international break, to have to try and break down that, the only way to break down that type of thing is with playing. You have to move the ball quickly. It's all well. It's the easiest thing in the world to defend against if someone's just popping it across the midfield and back and back and back and back and back and back. You just hold your shape, and you just let it go and go and go. What Liverpool's done really well from 25 minutes in is that they just kept moving it quickly and kept committing men and beating men and moving them with movements. Andy Robbo was great for the first goal. Sadio's touch and finish is unreal, but Robbo's the one who just the passes either brilliant or just not quite right.
I love those passes
because he draws if the pass is perfect, the lad doesn't come out to try and tackle him, and Robbo does really well because he's on his toes. He sees him coming. Yeah, thanks very much. He's in, slots it inside, and Mane scores. I think it was a difficult game. I think actually looking at it, all right, Div's injured now, and we don't know how bad it is at this point. But actually, I think that game, circumstances aside, is probably one of the ones you don't really want to drop Firmino in, because that's the one where you need his cleverness, his movements, his little horrible bits in behind, in between the lines, all that stuff he's brilliant at. And asking Div to go and do something similar to either what Mane does left wing or to what Firmino does in the middle in a game like that against a really tight, horrible team, I just don't think he's got them skill sets as much as any of the other three. I think that's his weak area, if anything.
One of the ways which they really impress before we get on to the brilliance of Firmino, Gareth, is the sheer calm. They go 1-0 down and it's like, yeah, fine, absolutely fine. And that to me is one of the key differences, and I think that was sort of reflected around the whole ground, really, and that I think the manager gets a bit frustrated at one point with the crowd, and I was a bit frustrated, and I was sort of in the section he was frustrated with, but the flip side of that is it was because almost everyone was thinking we're gonna win here, and that, he's dealt with an anxious Anfield, but there was no anxiety anywhere. Everyone was just, all right, we start again from this point, we now start again on -1, and we've got to solve it.
Yeah, and that's the big difference, isn't it? I mean, we did a bit of old school Anfield in that there was a healthy ripple of applause for the Newcastle goal as well, because I thought it was a boss goal, and that was a Liverpool thing once upon a time, that if the opponent scored a boss goal, you gave them a round of applause. I don't remember it happening much at too many other grounds, so I actually quite like that, because the first thing I said to the fella next to me was, "What a goal!" Yeah. And Trent out of position, Trent this, Trent that. He's shown him on his wrong foot, and the lad's never done that before, basically. So you know what I mean? I'm all right with it. And then, we were calm. We're all psychologically, the fans and the players, in a different place to where we were when Klopp arrived. Obviously, people filing out the ground when Crystal Palace scored and all that kind of stuff. It's gone to a different place now. We've watched it happen so many times that we're so confident, and they're so confident, that we're all just sound with it. I mean, what are the other games in the last year or so where the opposition have took the lead at Anfield? Arsenal, and we do them 5-1. Burnley, I think it ends up being 4-2. There's another one as well which I can't remember. But But my point is, in my Palace, we do them 4 today. The point is, it's not a thing anymore. Whereas once upon a time, it was a thing. Like, and there used to be even nervousness around just being 1-0 up or 2-1 up, because you were like, you need another one here, because we always concede late, and all that's gone, because we're just watching a brilliant side, and they know they're a brilliant side, and we all just watched it, and we were like, it's going to unfold how we know it's going to unfold ultimately. Liverpool are going to win. It's fine.
The Firmino stuff, Rob, it's appreciated in a sense all the more because he doesn't start. You get to see with and without, and I think, and a lot of this can end up feeling like it's rather harsh on Origi, but it's worth saying that in a side that plays in circles and in spirals, Origi very much plays in straight lines, and that at times has been his strength. He listens to what the manager does when he comes off the bench and does brilliantly. But Firmino just comes on, and it's just a tour de force of a performance. He's bringing everyone into play. He's running the show. It was just fabulous.
Yeah, it was a bit special. I thought after the game that there was a little bit of everyone's going over the top because he does a really, really good little trick, and that's all they want to take home from the game. And meanwhile, Mane scored a brilliant goal, and so Salah. But people just wanted to talk about Firmino's trick because it was a bit arty and left field. But actually, I watched the whole second half back. Clearly, Firmino absolutely dominates it. He's incredible. The chances he makes, the bringing people into play. I do think, the swings and roundabouts of these things. I thought Origi was not good at all. He's obviously not in Firmino's class. It was a reminder that unless you're going to get a sort of peak version of Origi, which we've seen in flashes last season and the early part of his Liverpool career, he is still a drop-off, and he is still a concern if we lost one of them and we had to put up with him. Put up with is the phrase, for a while.
I think it'd be all right if he played them for a while.
Maybe.
That's the point, though. I think you're dropping him in, rhythm-wise, it's really hard to just drop him in and them go, all right, sound.
But
his game's totally different, but I think everyone else starts to adapt to the fact that his game's a little bit different if he's in for a run. You know what I mean?
It's the 4 games that it could take him to get that slightly bothers me.
But I also think it's the type of opponent you're playing against. So if you're playing against someone who's going to come and leave a bit of space, then he's perfect, because he's quick and he's strong and he's fast, and he played... Who did he play? He played left wing at the start of the season against someone who was really good.
Like Chelsea away next week, say? Would you? Yeah. I think in a way you'd go, Chelsea away next week, maybe. Bit of space, bit of ground behind.
He's true. He's horrible to play against, and against Norwich he just held his shape and then beat his lads at will. And you can't do that against Newcastle because they don't give you the opportunity.
They're so deep, aren't they?
But I think the held his shape bit's the interesting thing, in that he really does hold his shape. You get the impression, he can gives him a set of instructions before the game. Obviously, it's more complicated than that. And then he goes and does his set of instructions. And why that front three works is because, he can't say, tell you what, Divock, give me a beautiful piece of improvisation. Because a piece of improvisation is a piece of improvisation. Whereas you look at the other three when they're all flying, and they are all flying in different flashes at the minute, mostly Firmino, but they are all flying, is they give you that improvisation. Even Salah for the goal after the Firmino touch, Salah holds that ball for as long as possible, and that's unconventional play, if you know what I mean. It's the right thing to do, and I think that's the problem with him, is he's not very good at the unconventional, and we are everyone grafts, etc, Jono, we are very committed to those front three being able to improvise all the time.
Well, I think the other thing as well is, I think Robbo's point is fair. I think to plonk Origi into that situation, Origi picking the ball up instead of Salah, and plays it into Firmino's feet. Firmino's no way in his right mind going to go, right, well, I'm going to go bump, because I know Origi's going to run there and then have 3 touches and slot at bottom corner. Whereas with Salah, when Salah had the ball at his feet, you knew it was going to be a goal. As soon as he plays it to Firmino, you just didn't know how it was going to be a goal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You knew it was either going to be a goal or a really good chance, because you just knew the interplay between them three, him, Mane, Salah, the movement. They all know exactly which one of them is going to go. I think it's really tough to plonk Origi into that and then say to the other two as well, whichever the other two are, oh, by the way, just do what you do as a three, but instead of the other fella who you know inside out, it's this fella who you don't. And he's not as good, by the way, but he's still really good. But he's not as good, and he's not as skill set as to be tricky little movements. But here you go anyway.
Now as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's affected 2 positions.
Exactly. So what do you think? You're asking for a lot. I think Div's value comes when it's more second half of games, certain games where teams are coming at you away from home, and he can run the channels, he can run all day, and he can hit people on the break. Or you're playing a slightly different style, and I mean, we don't do that very often, but you're playing a slightly different style and you sort of just want to someone to run the channels a bit. It'd be great. But we don't do that very often.
Klopp said when he came in last season, you remember the first couple of games where he just did bits. I think he did well against Everton before he even scored. He just said he maintained our pace down the sides. That was literally the instruction, is just keep the pitch wide, make them have to turn every now and again. I do want to ask you this. Do you think, in a sense, with that sort of, that sort of telepathy that our front three have, that if you have to drop someone in who's going to know what run to make, Firmino's going to know where to play it, would Shaqiri be a better fit? I know he's not an orthodox forward, but I think he's got that kind of cuteness to him.
I wondered, I actually said that as Div was going off, you wonder whether Shaqiri in that Firmino position, in almost a free role, deeper, so you'd have two wide strikers almost rather than two wide wingers, and you'd have Shaqiri playing centre mid, attacking midfielder, trying to do that. I almost wonder whether that might work better to try and unlock something against the team like Newcastle than Div. That's what we were saying that as Div was going off, and then we were also saying that's fucking great that he's going off injured this night. Sorry, Div, because it was obvious once he went off and Firmino come on, we were going to win. And that's not a very nice thing to say, and I don't mean it, but I was fucking made up.
Yeah, so was I. The whole ground was very relieved.
Very temporarily made up.
One of the things here is, and it's interesting, Gareth, listening to, for instance, Shaqiri name get lashed in. I think that if he was 3 seasons younger, people might be saying maybe you do something like that, but with Lallana, given his hold-up play and all that sort of stuff, I think that ship might have sailed now. But this is the story of how hard it is to compare Firmino to any other footballer playing football at the moment. It's crackers, isn't it? You don't even know where to start as to who else, anyone that you see, anywhere, any grounds, don't care where you are. Who does he compare to?
I know, that's the thing, isn't it? Because footy's always about that as well. So managers do it, fans do it, players do it, pundits do it. You're always looking to say he's like X or he does what X does. And people are really struggling to pigeonhole Firmino, and that's part of the delight of him almost. I mean, Bruce has compared him to Cantona after the match. You got Janino today or yesterday saying that he's almost reinventing what a nine's about, and players will watch him and become like him maybe in the future, but there is no one else around now. So that's great for us, isn't it? Basically, anytime he's fit, he's causing problems for the opposition. They don't know what to do to him. I think the key as well is about Liverpool, and we've touched on this before, obviously, but today we're talking about Firmino, and rightly so, but it's back to the thing of like, well, what do you do if you're them? What are you deciding you want to stop? Because there's too many things to stop. Do you know what I mean? So, okay, Firmino's getting all applauded, but the fullbacks were brilliant. Yeah. And they couldn't do nothing about the fullbacks. Fabinho's brilliant. And it's almost gone amiss that he's been brilliant. I know you said before he struggled a little bit at the start, but when he got into it, he was fucking great again. He was
unreal.
And so that's almost got bypassed a little bit. And then hang on, we forgot to talk about Mane, who put it top in as though he'd been like he was having a game in the back garden. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like there's so many aspects to the Liverpool side now that it's just like one way or another they're gonna win, and like you've got on your agenda so as to spoil it, but you put like what happens if the fullback starts scoring as well? Fucking hell,
they nearly did, didn't they?
Yeah,
two of them, yeah.
So it's like you almost feel like there's more to come from Liverpool, and they're already perfect.
The front three absolutely pairing at the moment is it allows them, and I don't think any one of them has had a bad game this season, but I think they've all had 30 minutes where they've not quite been in it, or etc, etc. But that's the absolute luxury of this. They can have 30 minutes where it's just, you can be a little bit of a passenger for 30, knowing that you're going to come back alive. But in the meantime, someone else's share is taking the load, and I think I think you saw it last season almost for a run of games. Salah doesn't score for a run of games, etc, etc. But at the minute, it's like they almost clock in and clock out for half an hour, and then they're absolutely running the show.
Yeah, and as Robbo say, it's just so difficult to defend against. I mean, some of them sides Liverpool have had over years. I remember McManaman used to give the ball to McManaman at one point when and that was a good Liverpool side, that should have finished second and should have won the league and all that and didn't, and Spice Boys and this, that, the other. But one of our weaknesses was if we didn't just give it to McManaman and say, right, you've got to beat four fellas, we didn't really look like scoring too much, did we? And the point you're saying about the front three is they're all just so good. It's like, and there's only so much you can ask a defence to do. There's only so much. Like, you can block space and you can stop it. But then, as you say, that the fullbacks, like Trent's position was interesting, and his runs, because there's a couple of times first half, where he's running as almost like a wide centre forward, and he's the one who's trying to break the offside trap, and it's a ploy.
Yep.
You know, he's the extra man to create space. So he's marking Mane, great. He's marking Firmino, lovely. He's marking Salah, sounds. He's got Wijnaldum, he's got so and so. Yeah, we're boxed. Oh, for fuck's sake, who's got sense? He's just appeared at the back post, because you can't do it. You know, it's impossible, because normally he's your spare man. You think, right, he's going to stay there, they're going to switch, he's going to cross it, and we're all going to shuffle, and we're all going to win our battles, and we'll do this for half an hour and we'll be fine. And then we done a similar tactic under Rodgers when we were up for the title challenge, and it was Glenn Johnson arriving back post. We done it against Palace when we were trying to score 1,000 goals in a game to win the league. He was the one, he creates the first goal. It's that late run from a fullback that is just, it's a diddle. You know, it's a diddle, it's a defensive.
You can't go with it.
You can't go with it, you can't track it. Your other man is inside marking and attacking midfielder. Your fullback's tight because Salah's next to your two centre-halves and you're shit scared. And then the next minute,
some fella's already, he's got 10 yards pace.
Yeah, and he's on, yeah. And plus, by the way, he's probably the best centre mid in the fucking league, and we're playing him right back. Do you know what I mean? And
I noticed first half, actually, Newcastle were inviting Trent and Robbo to put an early ball in. They'd watched the Arsenal game, I think, where we did make that mistake, where they were deep. They were given a little bit of room, so we put in fairly high balls, because you can only do that. And Arsenal's shit centre-halves were dealing with that. And I thought Bruce had seen that, and he was inviting it. And every time you could see him have a little think, and I would be going, fucking just get it in, because I wanted to see tempo. And at times I thought we were being too patient in that first 20. But they didn't. They stopped and they came back again and waited for the moment to find tempo in a different way. I thought it was very, very smart, that.
I was just going to say that, like, I think what I really like about this Liverpool side as well is watching the opposition and almost just seeing them like disintegrate in front of your eyes. So what I mean, like, they suck the spirit out of sides. Yeah. So you watch Newcastle there, and you can quite rightly say, okay, they get that goal and they start all right, and they're following Bruce's plan and they're made up, and there's a couple of other times they nearly get in, but then Liverpool just seem to sort out their offside trap. And all of a sudden they can't get out, and all of a sudden every time they do, someone's offside. And I can't remember who it was, but I remember I just clocked them. There was one of their attackers just like threw his arms up in the...
Joe Linton, I think.
And it was just like, for fuck's sake, like, this isn't working, boys, do you know what I mean? And you're seeing, no surprise, Shelvey start to lose it as well, as he always does, as he always did when he was with us, because it wasn't working.
I thought he was going to hit someone.
Yeah.
I was worried about it. I thought he was going to hit someone.
But this is what Liverpool are doing mentally to sides, though. Like, it works. Their plan might work for a bit, but then all of a sudden it unravels and they don't know what to do, and then Liverpool have scored 2 or 3 in a patch and the game's won.
Yeah.
Oxlade-Chamberlain, it was very much in the end, Rob, and you mentioned tempo, a road to recovery game. He was the one who was, in a sense, most frustrating me around tempo, in that he doesn't give it away very much when you actually look at the stats after the match and all this. But it's a lot of the time it was falling to him in a tiny little bit of space. I'd like to have seen him fizz it a tiny little bit more, but this is going to happen, and I think we've all got to sort of go, this is the way it is. He's not played very much football for 16 months. It's going to be a bit of a journey to get back to the player he was. We've just got to acknowledge that. We're going to have to live through some 70-minute performances. That might not be brilliant, but if Liverpool are winning in the meantime, then it sets him up for the second half of the season.
I came away from the game with exactly the impression you've given. I watched the first half back. I watched the second half back. He's better than I thought he was. First half, he was fairly anonymous, although I was pleased he was the one who gets the shot away. He does that. He's one that he goes past the post. You think it's almost like his goal against City, but he just pulls it slightly. I know you don't like shots, but I actually think I actually thought at that moment we had to have a crack on goal, and I think he got the crowd going a bit. But the rest, yeah, all right. I'm not going to convince you. But second half, I think he's good. I think perhaps the fact that we can afford to be more patient second half suits him. He's doing nice little bits. He's putting balls around the side. He's moving, making himself available to Fabinho. He's absolutely fine second half. I agree generally, though. He's not the player providing the tempo. Although Southampton, I thought, in that game where we needed...
I thought he was really good first 15 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, he was.
That's what you're going to see. You're going to see, I think, patches where he's absolutely flying, and then patches where it just all feels a little bit muddy. And I think we've just got to accept that.
I don't think he's going to be trusted in a mega big game for a while yet, apart from maybe off the bench.
He's trying to work his way through it, isn't he, is what I thought. I think you saw in flashes what we know he can do, but it was almost like his brain knew what he wanted to do, but his body was letting him down at times. Like there's the one where he beats 2 men and his next touch is shit and he loses the ball, and you're like, you know what I mean? And you can almost feel the frustration for him because he'll be beating himself up about that. But as you say, we've just got a cop for it. He's coming back. You know, he's done a job. He's done okay. I don't think you throw him under the bus for that. No, you just say that this is where he's at, and you know, I mean. What I thought was interesting, I actually thought this weekend might have been the time that we finally see the lesser spotted Lallana, and he still sits off, because there was an interview, wasn't he, like before the game, and I just thought the timing was interesting. They talked about, you know, positions he's been practicing in training, deeper midfield, all that kind of stuff, and I thought, well, maybe we see him today. Maybe that's why that interview's suddenly out there, because Joycey actually said in the interview that he'd been trying to get it for ages, and only now was it deemed the time to do it. I just thought, so maybe we're seeing him then, and then he wasn't there. So, you know, Oxlade-Chamberlain's getting in where he's not. So, you know how much the manager rates him. He's done it over and over again, hasn't he? Saying, like, you know, almost like it's not talked about enough what a coup it was to get him, because he's a £50 million player at his best, basically.
He picks him ahead of Milner. I think that's interesting. You know, Milner's a sacred cow for Klopp, but he still thinks a recovering Chamberlain is worth a go. It's more important to get Chamberlain in peak condition.
I also think there's something about there's a couple of things, getting minutes in Chamberlain's legs and taking minutes out of everybody else's legs, and I think there's a bit of that going on. Sure. And I think as long as we can do that all over the pitch and still win games, then I'm all for it, because I think you pretty much, if we all got asked for our first 11, we'd be 95% probably all on the same page, I would imagine, if not 100%. And I think the value of the midfield, the value of playing Oxlade-Chamberlain, he was 6, 7 out of 10. He was nearly great. He was a bit frustrating, but I let Henderson sit on the bench. 90 minutes, you just sit there and do nothing.
I think the other thing on the Milner thing is I think he likes to use Milner from the left. And I think he's got he uses Milner from the left, he's going to use Oxlade-Chamberlain from the right, he tends to use Wijnaldum from the left, though he will let him move around. He uses Henderson from the right. I think the question mark one in amongst all of that's Keita, as to where he thinks where Keita ends up. I think he'll probably want to use him a little bit more from the left when he plays 4-3-3, although he might change the shape a little bit more when he's got him. But I do think that's almost like, I think he might have wanted to play Wijnaldum after the excellent performances for Holland, and thought, I'll just throw him in, and then I've got Milner to maybe use against Napoli or something like that.
Maybe. I mean, I think it's a matter of not making too many changes. So I think he probably tossed a coin on Milner or Henderson. I think Wijnaldum's a bit more roadworthy over a long period, over a long season than Henderson, arguably. Wijnaldum hasn't got an injury track record. Henderson's got a niggly injury track record. So I think you save his legs where you can a bit. I think that's Klopp's history with the players anyway. But you could have flicked a coin on which of those you left out.
Okay, just going to take a little break for a minute on whichever sort of level you're going to hear me talk, though, so don't get too excited. It's not going to be that good. So it's going to be me talking for about 60 seconds, and then we're going to be back to talk about the full-backs, the goalkeeper, and look ahead to Napoli. That's the way it's going to work. Thank you for listening to the Anfield Wrap. What I'd like you to think about doing if you get the opportunity is to download our app. And when you download our app, what you get is free tokens. And those tokens mean that you can listen to any of the stuff, any of the content that's behind the paywall. You can watch any of the videos that are behind the paywall as well. And it could be a nice introduction to the stuff that is behind there. We've got some great games coming up. We've got Napoli and Chelsea, both of which are going to be absolute belters. So this is a really good opportunity, I think, to download. Check out the post-match content, whether it's our review, whether it's our post-match pint, whether it's the pink. Check it out. It's all on there. Download the Anfield app, Google Store, Apple Store. You know how to do it. Welcome back. I hope that went well. I haven't done it yet, so we'll find out, won't we? You know more than I do. So moving on to talk about the fullbacks, I think it's really interesting, Gareth, the thing about them. Suddenly, those very direct diagonal runs at goal, to me, you see this Liverpool side, and I think it plays quite similarly from March through to June in the final. You're able to pretty much anticipate what's going to happen. This to me looks like, we've worked on this. Yeah. It's the first thing I've seen in a while where, in the same way that during the season last season, they start doing the diags to each other. This is the first thing I've seen from the fullbacks in a while, which makes me think, hang on, I think we've worked on this.
I think, and we know and we can trust the team that's behind Liverpool as well. I don't think, particularly Linders, gets talked about enough in that. He's a proper brain. He's unbelievable how he talks about football, and so it's not like they'll just be going, they'll be trying to second guess what everyone's going to do to stop Liverpool, and then thinking of a way around that when that happens. And you can see that all the time. There's little tweaks, there's little improvements. That's why I said before that even though we started the way we have and we're top of the league and we're perfect and we're 5 points clear and all the rest of it, you still think there's more to come. You still think there's better stuff to come. What I liked about, I thought Rob was spot on before about Robertson. Seen a lot of people, I think he got man of the match on Sky or BT or whatever of someone. What I thought was interesting was I didn't actually think he started that well, but it was almost like his will to go, fuck it, I'm gonna play well. And he talked afterwards about how he took a lot of shit, basically, hadn't he, playing for Scotland, and it obviously got to him. He'd locked himself away a little bit, and he's an emotional player, Robertson, and that's one of the reasons I think he connects so well with the crowd. And so he knows as well that we're driven by emotion as fans, and that it'll lift everyone if he jumps into that tackle like he does and wins it. He knows it'll lift everyone if he runs down the line and muscles someone out and gets to the line and puts a ball in. He understands that thing, and I'm not sure every football player does. There's different motivations going on in different players' heads. Like you look at Firmino, it looks like he's just having a party in his own brain as he's playing football. Whereas Robertson comes out wanting to smash things and improve things by smashing things. And that's what I thought was great about him on Saturday.
Go back to you on that. I think there is something where, again, we sometimes, because we think, well, they're just going to come back and be Liverpool players. But he has just captained his country. They've been crap. Yeah. There's no hides in it. I don't think he's played particularly well in either of those games. And it must be at times, we can say, well, he should just pull the shirt on, live a bird, etc., etc. There's like a quarter of that game where he's almost finding himself, isn't it? And I think it's really, it's quite psychologically interesting that he has to go on that little bit of a journey, get that all out of his system, and then all of a sudden he's now Liverpool's Andy Robertson again. Yeah, I mean, he mentioned in the same interview, Fletcher, when he played for United, was well liked at United, like sort of the quiet fella that does the job and everyone thinks he's quite decent and all that. He got an absolute load of abuse when he played for Scotland, and that's kind of happening to Robertson because he's the captain, because he's European Cup winner, because he plays for Liverpool. Any mistakes are under a huge spotlight, even though he's not playing with the same class of players. Everyone just goes, well, you play for Liverpool, you're boss for them, why aren't you boss for us? And he's took it personally, it seems like, and it's hard to just brush all that aside and turn up and go, oh, okay, I'm playing for Liverpool again. But he did that and he came through it, and and again down to the character of the fella, really. He gets everyone going first half, Robertson. As you said before about Trent arriving late, and that being a new thing as well. Then there's the two opportunities very, very close to the byline, but where there didn't seem to be much doubt that both of them are going to have a shot, if you know what I mean. Like you see footballers at times run in a way which says they're keeping their options open, and then you see footballers run at a time in a way which says I know exactly what I'm doing next here, and that was very much I'm trying to score. I think from both of them from the minute they get the ball. It's a lovely flick from Firmino as well.
Yeah, I think what they've definitely worked on it, definitely, and I think in fairness, Tottenham playing Newcastle going to Tottenham and probably playing the exact same game or a very similar game plan enables Liverpool's coaching staff to have a look at it, and as you say, Rob, I think they've definitely come up with this idea. Look, there's loads of, they're going to cede space on the wings because they're going to have to be compact in the middle. Like they were like a block, weren't they? Were like a square almost. They weren't stretched across the pitch. They were like a cube, like a big fucking Everton mint right across the middle of the pitch. And I think we just said, well, you're going to get loads of space, so you may as well make that run. Then when you do, have a shot, because there's going to be a load of big juice heads in the middle of the box, so there's no point crossing it. And it, it nearly worked. He nearly scored 2 goals. The link-up play, the runs, the time of the runs. I thought Robertson was excellent. I mean, I missed the first 20 minutes. So like saying, he didn't play well first 20 minutes. I didn't fucking see any of it.
Did you forget it was after 12?
No, I mean, lads had a match and I ended up having to ref a bit of it. My head was kettled and then I got the times.
They had VAR in that?
They fucking should have done. I forgot to press the stopwatch to start the game. So when the other ref turned up, he said, how long's gone? I was like, hey. About 10. Thanks, mate. Yeah, see you later. But once I got in, from what I seen, like I thought Robertson was one who's adding a little bit of impetus to the midfield that was maybe missing with Henderson not being there. If I'm honest, I thought Henderson's lack of bollocking everyone and lack of careering on the pitch was missed. Them like from the I only seen 5-10 minutes where we went up so much. But I think Robertson provided a bit of that spark for the rest of the first half, and then you know, for most of the second half. I mean, last 20 minutes of the game, everyone Newcastle had agreed, look, just go easy on us. Yeah. We just want to get out.
You've got Napoli on Tuesday.
Yeah, let's all just. And we were like, well, Firmino fancies it, so we're just going to give it to him. And if he does something, not our fault.
It's not our business. Yeah.
If they could have declared, they would have done, wouldn't they? It was dead obvious they'd had enough.
They're very lucky actually at 3-1. Yeah, you see, we keep on me. I came out of it thinking we'd switched off. We didn't switch off. We were just very patient, methodical. We were just making world class chances every 5 minutes on the minute.
There's also someone's lots of people have got my attention on this because I've mentioned it a couple of times that goal difference isn't a thing this year. There's two areas where this is interesting. Goal difference isn't a thing this year.
Changed the rule, haven't they?
It's head to head.
Hang on.
It's head to head.
Start again. Yeah,
that's another rule.
They've done VAR on goal difference, Rob. Can you believe it, mate?
This seems like a big thing that I don't know about.
It is a big
Why
thing
don't I know about this? Why did you bring it up when we was on the fucking show the other week on the rules?
Because I didn't know then. I didn't know then, and people have got at me and I've checked it, so it's head to head. So if us and City are on the same number of points, it's who's done better in the two games against each other.
Are you sure now this is important?
Yeah,
I heard
that's ahead of goal difference.
Hang on, watching you in Premier League 2019-20, I feel like I'm performing an information service here.
We fucking need to be.
Ahead, if two or more clubs finish level in the table when competing for the title or European qualification or when relegation is at stake, their records in the head-to-head matches will now be used to separate them. In previous seasons, teams involved in these battles who finish with the same points total, goal difference and number of goals will be pitted against each other. The team who collected the most points in the head-to-head between the sides will now.
But then if that's two draws, then it's goal difference.
Must be.
Yeah.
I'm not worried I've misread this.
Is there away goals?
I'm now worried I've misread this, and that it's actually. Oh no! Goal difference is for their first. I mean, just forget everything I've just said. It's a terrible show, this, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to get people to pay money and everything for this shite.
No, this one's free, isn't it? Thank God.
I know, but even so, Rob, we try to use it from a marketing point of view to say,
but I mean,
it's really well informed.
Rules anyway, the fucking shit.
So, when's this head-to-head for like once you've done exhausted every other?
Yeah, I mean, everyone who's been getting at me on Twitter needs to really wind their neck in. It's the same number of points, same goal difference, and number of goals would have had to have a playoff, but now they've got to go to head-to-head. Like that's happened. Like that's been on the cards. This playoff nonsense. So anyway, forget what I've just said. Goal difference matters, and Liverpool should have knocked off.
Yes. Hey, who knew? Do you know what I was about to say?
I was honestly in the ground thinking one of the reasons why we've calmed down here is it's head-to-head now, not goal difference. This all makes sense to me. No, mate.
Do you know what? If they had taken it away, if you think about it in all seriousness, never mind Brexit, you have a referendum on whether you take goal difference away. It's important.
It's a big deal.
Imagine you got your head-to-head out of the way and there's 3 months of season to play. It goes, we can beat them 8-0, doesn't matter a fuck. You know, goal difference has always got to matter right to the very, very death.
There we are.
Thank God it's safe.
Well, it doesn't matter where we are. It doesn't matter in La Liga, and you know we've all had a journey on this one. And as I say, I'd like to thank the internet for giving me a dreadful steer.
Can we just talk about the fact
on the internet was fucking nonsense?
Honestly, if this wasn't the Anfield rap, I might suggest cutting that bit. But you know, we're very honest and
someone
truthful.
else will, don't worry.
Yeah, very much so.
We need to talk a bit about the whole day.
I want to talk about the goalkeeper.
What about the whole day we had? We got to watch Liverpool being brilliant, and then we got to have the most fantastic, fluky experience of seeing Pookie
and then Everton was shit the next day as well.
We had a really special little 24 there.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the goalkeeper.
Go ahead.
Because it'll be easy to... The goalkeeper will be in, it looks like, until the end of this till the next international break, Gareth. And he may well make a mistake at some point between now and then. So I think it's important. He doesn't, he could maybe do a tiny little bit better with the goal, but I think that's being a bit unkind.
I'd have blamed Mignolet for it.
So
I would. Yeah.
I know you would.
I'd have readily strangled him.
But
still would.
He's still even now. That's an play for us. The keeper, I think to me, looked now like he's played a lot with these lads. He's watched the videos, he's done the training. I thought it was a marked difference. The number of times he's rolling it out so quick, and it was interesting. It was a lot of throws and rolls rather than kicks as well. Seemed to be very comfortable with that, and he seemed to genuinely be integrated in the team rather than just some lad we've got to play between the sticks until the other fella comes back.
Yeah. I think the key thing is that it's not a thing almost. So at no point was there any kind of nervousness around him or when the ball's near him or anything. You didn't hear anyone, certainly I didn't where I was on the cop, didn't hear anyone slagging him off, moaning, and there's plenty of people that are ready to do that at any given point in Liverpool history. So he's settled in, hasn't he? I think we were talking on a show about this the other day, and it's almost about it's not just about getting a keeper in and saying go in goal and see how you get on. it's almost the personality of the fella. They scout that as much as the skills now, if you like. And this fella seems to fit. I seen him on something on LFC TV, and he's sound, you know. He's just like a really nice fella. He
loves a Liverpool goal.
Yeah.
Possibly even more than me.
He's a really nice fella, and like I think he's probably fit right in. He's probably mates with everyone he's working with, which helps massively as well. And it's just not an issue, you know, like the way you just said there. We all would have done that if it was me. You're like, fucking hell, you could have got to that, you fucking prick, or whatever, because of what's gone before, because of psychologically where we were with him. This fella's made mistakes, and everyone's like, it sounds, you know, he's all right. Yeah, exactly.
It didn't half help him that Newcastle didn't bother having a single shot.
Well, there was that. Yeah.
Past their
Apart
goal.
From the goal.
He picked it out of the net, and then he could have sunbathed the rest of the game.
Yeah.
There was nothing for that, lads. Having said that, given that context, he was 10 out of 10. Because you're right, his cute little roll the balls out and not doing slightly annoying things was spot on.
Not
start to finish.
Slightly annoying things. What do you think of his performance there? Well, he didn't do slightly annoying things, and I was right behind
Given the bar was as low as I've seen for a Liverpool goalkeeper to have to fulfil on that particular. Actually, I don't think I've seen a less adventurous team come to Anfield in history than that Newcastle team. Less or more adventurous. Get my double negatives wrong.
Yeah, that one.
No, ambitionless.
There's the one that the lad absolutely blazes into the cop, isn't he? Where Van Dijk signed it. He's like, and then he bollocks Matip, I think, afterwards.
Did they have a corner? I think they might have had a corner.
One corner, I think they had.
Second half, yeah.
We had 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt sorry when he bollocks Matip there. It was a bit like, it's one of the unspoken things about the new changes on goal kicks was that Matip couldn't get off. Because previously you just spread out and blah blah blah. You get out the box and yada. Matip had to stay within 10 yards of him and just sort of turned his back because he got a tirade of abuse.
What did Matip do? Because he apologised as well. He had his hands up, so he clearly done something. So you get sucked up. I couldn't quite wait. Does he get sucked across?
Yeah, get sucked in.
Yeah. And Virgil had to split and then blah blah.
Yeah, it got resolved from there. Matip had a bit of an awkward afternoon, but I think that's because Joel Linton might actually be good.
He is very good, I think.
Yeah, it's worth remembering that sometimes opposition get to have decent players.
Managed to look superb despite having nothing really to do as well, didn't he?
He's very good at that.
He's very, very good.
I liked where he just decided to block it with his head.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And then like it was like that moment in like a film, an action film where the good fella hits the bad fella with his best dig, and the bad fella just looks at him and goes, and what? It was like the fella twats it, hits his head, and he just looked at him and went, nah.
Yeah, it's going to take more than that to get past me. And he's like, I've just kicked it dead hard, mate.
Yeah. You're in the face. Yeah. Doesn't that air? No.
We'll just get on. Crowd, in the end game with the big one, there's a bit of the manager wanting to get people riled up around 20.
The referee as well helps. Always a referee decision helps the crowd, I think.
Yeah.
Because it just, you get your
How's it not a pen?
I don't understand. For as long as I live. Never mind VAR.
It's just human beings being idiots.
The referee's watching it.
Yeah. There's a referee and there's a linesman.
Yeah.
He's like this around his neck, and he can see Matip's like, look, I'm going to edit in. Or I can't edit in.
If only we had a secondary refereeing system which could double check that we were implementing for the first time. That would be a boom, wouldn't it?
What's the explanation that the referee got?
It's insane.
Why isn't the referee saying, well,
even my mates who watched it on the telly, because that's your thing, and if you're in the ground, you don't get something. I do it anyway. I'll message me mates and go, well, what's happened there? And they're going back, don't know. And then people were telling me all night, because I put something on Twitter, and all night people were telling me different things. So some people were saying it did go, and they'd come back and said it's subjective, so no. I'm like, what?
It's not very subjective.
He's got his arms round him and he's dragged him back. And the way Matip's body goes is unnaturally can't. Even if he wanted to try and do that as like a blag, how do you do it?
Yeah.
You can't do it. And so I don't know what the referee thinks he saw.
The referee thinks
and I don't get why VAR hasn't gone, it's a pen.
It's a pen, you gobshite. But I don't, what's the ref thinking? Matip's gone too far under the ball and headed it backwards on purpose. It's like... It's not like he's got caught under it and then had to lean back. He's there, ready, and the lad just gets him in a headlock and pulls him out the way. I don't understand how it's never... It's ridiculous.
I almost feel there's a direct... Because one thing I think, VAR coming in, I think there was a fear, probably in some quarters, that you're going to have 4 penalties a game, right? I was hoping for 4 penalties a game, quite frankly. That's what I wanted it to bring. That's the whole fucking point. Let's stop that. I almost think there's a directive which to the referees goes, don't give soften, don't give them cheaply. I don't think it'll be any more specific than that or along those lines. And where they can find a scintilla of doubt, although I agree in that one, where they found it, I don't know. But where they can find it, they won't give. And that's ridiculous.
I think it's almost to the point whereby if the referee sees it, and chooses not to give it,
they can't.
They just don't bother. They review it and they go, well,
if he missed it,
we all know he's shit. But we can't change his decision because we'll make him look even shitter.
Yeah.
But the point surely is that you arrive at the right decision.
Yeah,
and I don't get it. I wonder whether there's still something playing into it about the Liverpool thing and being the tough man for not giving them a pen.
So this is Tompkins. Tompkins on Twitter. Paul Tompkins on Twitter is absolutely spot on. And do read the Tompkins Times if you get the opportunity.
Spurs have had more pens than we have.
I think even Peter Walton joked on BT about it being cop end. Implied LFC get too many. All British managers spout this kind of guff based on old myth. The net result is that in 500 plus LFC attacks, corner shots in 2.4 years at Anfield equals 1 cop end penalty, which is as he says, it's statistically ludicrous, and it's like this unsustainable position of it, and it does feel to me as though there is an element of we're not giving penalties to the cop because we're not, and like in their own heads, what do you have to do?
Yeah, it's an unconscious bias.
I think only big
bias.
I think only Big Ols has given one, and that's because Big Ols has got a massive pair of balls on him
and a big Liverpool tattoo on his ass.
Well, you'd think so.
This was the point.
Allegedly.
When Clattenburg left, he had to get handed it over to him.
This was the point of the new technologies, to remove the subjectivity, to go, don't worry, no one's accountable because the facts are the fucking facts, but they're still allowing the subjective angle to it. It's nuts.
But I think on the subject, the one that drove me mad on it was the linesman. You can do all the, and if the referees maybe in some way, shape or form not got the full sight of it, it's the last part of the action in the penalty area on the linesman's side as he's watching the ball go in. We can talk all we want about VAR, and I think it is it's a valid thing, but there's a referee who doesn't see it. All right, there's a lot going on, the ball's coming across the box, maybe he doesn't quite have sight of it, but there's literally the liner, and that was what drove me mad. Was what are you actually looking at? What have you seen there? Because I've got a view that's, because I was on the main stand side for this one, I've got a view that's really rather similar to yours. Yeah. So I know what I just saw. What do you think you just saw that you'd go, oh no, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other? It's ludicrous.
There's an old school refereeing style which gives nothing on corners, basically. I remember did we get a pen given against us in that famous 3-2 derby when McAllister scores the winner? Hoopier gets a pen given against him, which I still think, in the spirit of what you give at corners, annoyed the fuck out of me. Because
Ferguson argues,
thinks he'd give a foul the other way.
The other way, yeah. There's a little bit of hands, a little bit of holding someone by the throat. In old money, you don't give pens for that. Fine if you're in old money, but in the new regime we're seeing these things picked up routinely now. So either there's no threshold, a foul's a foul, or it isn't. It's.
But surely at some point this morning,
someone drags Mariner in somewhere
and says, "Hey, you bollocks! With your fucking Andrew, whatever your fucking name is, that's a penalty. Why aren't you giving it?
Yeah,
you've made us." If I'm in the VAR room and I've got this instruction, look, if he doesn't give one and it's a bit iffy, but you're nailed on, but you're not allowed to change his mind. If that's there, you're fuming if you're them. Because you're like, well, we're going to look like bellends as well.
Yeah.
He's cocked up and we can't tell him he's cocked up. Or whatever it is, I don't know. But someone somewhere should be getting a grip of him and saying, hey, lad, what the fuck's that?
Drag him down to Heathrow.
Go and have a look at that. Get in that fucking tin can box. I
Get
was in
through
there
security.
Saturday. There's no insulation. It's fucking roasting.
Yeah.
And you've got me watching that, making a prick out of me all day.
We're all in Heathrow. We don't understand why. Have to go through security every fucking day for this. Get me keys out, putting it in a little tray every day, and you're doing that.
Why? Someone should be made to talk why that isn't a foul. Why isn't that a foul? Why isn't it retrospectively a foul? Why doesn't he give it in the first place? You should be explaining, we didn't think it was enough of a foul.
Did the normal talking heads in Match of the Day, did they talk about it?
Yeah, they mentioned it.
Did they go, that was a disgrace?
Yeah, they basically said the same thing about, like if VAR's not saying that's a penalty, what's the fucking point, basically?
Actually, what's the point of referees?
They only went through it quick because, they're rattling through a whole day of worth of football, but they mentioned it.
Yeah. So you enjoyed your whole day's worth of football, did you, Roberto?
I did. It got better and better. That City thing was ridiculous. I was watching it on my phone with my lad in the boozer. And you go 1-0, yeah, fuck off, and then 2-0. Okay, it's getting tight. If they can get that to half time, they get Aguero scored before half time. Piss off with this.
Literally giving them goals as well.
Literally, it gets to after half time, and then Stones penalties not given, and all that bollocks. Another case in point. And then at 3-1, we're still going 4-3. Meanwhile, I'm lumping money on City. We were having the afternoon of. The interesting thing is, the City were absolutely garbage. Terrible at the back, but they didn't have a whole host of chances.
Didn't create much last 20-25, did they?
That goal's a fluke.
It was like, some of the efforts on goal when they really needed the goal, obviously. A bit half-arsed, but like sort of don't really think I'm going to score here, but I'll have a shot anyway. Oh, it's straight to the keeper.
I don't think they're great last 20-30 under pressure.
No.
I think there's a good decent body of evidence. There's also a decent body of evidence they'll be 5-0 up by the hour. But I don't think I don't think
it's something that they don't have to do.
Exactly, they're not used to it.
They're not used to it.
I think Norwich could have won that 4. I mean, there's a chance near the end where the guy rightly decides to go and hold it in the corner, but he's Pukki's in again. He could have had a crack there. I think there was a fair chance of a 4th. Wonderful to see.
All right then. You love to see it, don't you, Rob?
I continue.
I wasn't really going to talk about City, but I knew that you would be absolutely itching to when I saw you.
They're rent-free in my head. I've got a little bed for them. They've been there for some time. They're going to be there for a while.
It's allowed. They are rent-free in all of our heads. Whenever anyone says that Liverpool are rent-free in Guardiola's head, I'm like, yes, they should be.
Yes.
I'd like to think that we're thinking about little else. Liverpool 5 points clear though. Napoli would expect Henderson to start. Would expect Firmino to start. Any other changes?
Maybe the Gomez move for Matip, but I doubt it.
Maybe
Gomez, Trent. There's the Trent Matip Gomez triangle, as it's known. That's the only possible change. I don't think so though.
Yeah, I think you've got to play Fabinho as well.
I think he'd have, but I'm not sure he will.
You don't think?
I think he might rest him. I think Henderson might play that role. That's why he didn't play Sati.
Ooh,
because he's not going to play every game. Fabinho, he can't.
I'm
not sure it's that I'd play him. But I think
I think we might have... when we last went there, that's kind of what we lacked, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
he's not going to play against
I think
MK
it's the
Wimbledon.
wrong one to rest him in, but then also in hindsight, I think Sunday's the more important game. So
he didn't play for Brazil, did he? Did he get any minutes?
Nobody went.
Yeah.
I don't know if
he got about half an hour only, but he went.
Maybe it's that. I don't know. I didn't know he didn't play.
I think he will, because I think he gets next week off against MK Wimbledon.
I think there's a chance he doesn't play Sheffield.
Do you?
So I think there's a chance that he might have it in his mind. He's going to do all 3.
You're going
to do these 3, and then you're going to get the next 2 off, and then you'll be back for the last 2 of the little run. That wouldn't surprise me if he goes that way.
Well, Naby Keita is due in training this week. I think he plays. If it goes well, he plays against MK Dons, and then I think he comes against Sheffield.
But I think there's 2. I think I'm with you on the Gomez, Matip, Alexander-Arnold triangle. It wouldn't surprise me if he starts Gomez at right back. But the other one in there as well is it's interesting. Milner gets he doesn't go away on international duty, and Milner doesn't feature really against Newcastle until late in the day. And I do wonder about whether or not there might be, and this might be what you're saying, there might be a Milner move somewhere, because it will be odd to me because he's not. I don't expect Milner to start against Chelsea. So it would be odd to me when you've got the bonus of the fact that Milner doesn't go away on international duty and absolutely looks after himself as much as he does and will have been as involved as much as he is, to then say there's no James Milner for the 3 games that come back after the international break does to me seem a little bit strange.
Could be when Alden gets his break, couldn't it? Klopp's in these phases he does do that 2 in 2 out thing. We did those million options. We were sort of right in the end.
I think it'll be Milner and Henderson. I think he will start Fabinho, but then as I say, it wouldn't surprise me if Fabinho doesn't play Sheffield and someone else plays in there for that one.
You could go Henderson, Keita, and Wijnaldum or some variation of that. Yeah, for Sheffield.
Looking all that far ahead, but that's what I think he does in the front 3.
I think he might be right.
And then the front 3 will be the front 3 against Chelsea.
Yeah.
You happy with this, Rob?
Oh yeah, I think I'm settling my mind on this.
All right then. Are we going to beat Napoli?
I think we might. I think so this time. Possibly without Insigne and the other fellow, the one who Milik.
Definitely no Milik. I don't think. I'd be amazed at that.
Is that? He's the fellow Alisson made the save against in the last seconds. Yeah. So. They look good against us pre-season, but they're shipping goals, aren't they? Like no tomorrow. 7 in 3, I think.
7 in 3, not playing particularly well. They have Llorente, by the way. He's there, so he may well feature.
Which Llorente is? Is he the
one who was at Tottenham? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's there. He got on at the weekend for them when they beat Sampdoria 2-0. Koulibaly hasn't started the season well, hasn't got over his African Cup of Nations exertions, but could just click back into shape.
Who was rested at the weekend? Hamzic?
Rested at the weekend. Insigne was rested at the weekend, so they're trying to get him back. Koulem was rested at the weekend, and Manolas was rested at the weekend, and Alan. So there's 4 really who could well come in for them, who they managed to give a bit of a rest to at the weekend. But they'll be terrified of Roberto Firmino and Jordan Henderson.
I think we're too confident for them at the moment. I think we'll sweep them away.
Okay, sweep them away.
Yeah, I'm into that. I think we're a different beast to the last time we went there, aren't we?
Just dead quick, not least because there's other shows that need to be done and all of that. I think you 3 being in the room, just 2 minutes on the idea that this is, Gareth, you were talking about it there. This is the best football. Could be the best football we ever get to see. I will get to see for 20 years, or one way or the other, and it's worth people remembering that and enjoying it. That it cannot get better than this.
I'm made up as well, in that it almost not just for myself, but also for the, there's a lot of young lads that you see on the cop, and a lot of them are involved in sort of making the flags and banners and things like that, and walking them around and putting them back under the cop afterwards and missing a little bit and all that. And a lot of them will have heard their Al Ferrer or variations of talking about, Rush, Barnes, Kenny, all this kind of stuff. And must have thought, not so long ago, fucking hell, do I get to see any of this? And now they're watching the European champions, and now they're watching arguably the best team, certainly one of, if not the best Liverpool team around. And I'm made up for them because, only last week I was up in Newcastle, and I was talking to a Newcastle fan, and he was saying, he's a similar age to us, me, whatever. And he was saying, there's young lads now, young girls who support Newcastle, who don't remember when Newcastle were ever in Europe, who don't remember the Champions League, who don't remember Bobby Robson, Kevin Keegan, etc. You've got the same kind of thing hilariously unfolding at Everton. There's lots of Evertonians who don't remember them ever being good.
Yeah.
And so I'm just made up that everyone's getting to see this version of Liverpool, a version of Liverpool that's on its way back, that's won the European Cup, that's challenging for the title. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it's really good. Do you know what?
Where does it stand, Rob, in your in teams you've seen?
Well, the problem is, I'm 50 odd right now. I don't fucking remember the rest of it. I remember it by reconstructing.
Insight there,
I was like, look,
I'll tell you what, he'll contextualise this for me.
Box this, you'd say you've seen Pete Taglish.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've had a lot to drink in the last 30, 40 years, John.
Oh, stop it, boys. I could get way philosophical and existential on your asses on this. The point is, your memories just get they're rebooted memories, and you don't know what you actually remembered and what you've just had. Yeah. You just how many times you watched the fucking video.
Do you remember being happier? Because you're also a younger man, let's face that.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of shit going on back then. I had a lot more life left ahead of me then. I was generally skipping every day. I told you don't want to go down this route. In all seriousness, do you know what? It's weird because I do remember things when we were so relentlessly good. I remember being interested in who scored our goals more. Maybe it's a slightly more kiddie thing. I wouldn't be so happy if we won 4-0 and Kenny hadn't scored, because I wanted to see Kenny's numbers going up. And I'm beginning to get a little bit like that now. I want to see Salah and Mane right at the top of the goal chart. So if we'd won 3-1 and there'd been 2 own goals and a Fabinho header, I'd go, it's like a draw. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah, the expectations are on the right. But the funny thing is, when did we last win? 1990. So I'm 23. The vast majority of my life, I'm sharing the same Liverpool that these young lads are sharing. The Liverpool that has its moments, does crazy things like Istanbul and 2014, but generally hasn't been the greatest ever. What I do want is, I'm not into Phil Blundell's. Was it Phil or somebody was? You got involved in this, a poll on Twitter about, would you take us winning the league this year but Klopp left at the end of it? Phil and you went, of course you would. We want the league.
But I didn't say anything.
You sort of did. But I won't overly pick on you. Yeah, you did.
What do you mean you sort of did?
You don't get the chance to respond. You fucking said it now.
Let's assume you're that fella. For the
purpose of slaughtering someone in the room. Like you haven't had a rough enough hour here, Echo.
Oh, right.
For the purpose of slaughtering someone in the room, you twat.
It was your doppelganger, Beale Atkinson.
Wasn't it Heaton's poll this?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And it was Heaton's poll. The truth of the matter is after 2005, I just want Liverpool to be sustained good, to be the best. One league win, 1 European Cup win is fucking brilliant in that moment. But I like the fact that this feels like it has legs in it, that this project has real longevity in it. It might not do, we might all get to have egg on our face, but it feels like, and that's what I felt back in those days when I seriously can remember going, I don't know when this is ever going to stop, and that was a great feeling.
Big boss.
It's the best Liverpool side I've seen certainly easily in my adult life. And then I was a kid. I don't really remember the last league win. Don't really remember any of that. So yeah, it's the best Liverpool side I've seen in 20 years. They're just incredible. They are incredible, and it's a joy to watch them.
The 2014 team was incredible, but now it looks like we're watching. Looking back, I think of it as like a pantomime horse of a team. Some half of it was absolutely brilliant.
The 2014 team was like the greatest night out of your life. That's what it was. It was just when suddenly you're on the greatest night out of your life, and then you obviously then have to wake up. and get on with your life from that sort of point. This is different to that because and if anything, the highs aren't quite as high. And this also includes a European final, which is bananas and all that sort of stuff. But that was like, it was just like being drunk, and maybe because I was all the time, but it was like being drunk all the time. Whereas this isn't. This is just like this unbelievable shining sun of happiness that decorates every single day, whether you've had a drink or not. Just to know that Liverpool are absolutely amazing doesn't half make days feel better.
Yeah, and it's the fact that when you think about your team, you ever sit down and a little think about it. Every corner of it is great.
Yeah,
you got, I love our front three, but then our centre backs, they're the best. Our keeper's the best keeper in the world. What about them full backs? Fabinho, yeah. So, you know, you're getting to the stage where like I remember in 87, 88, where you're beginning to slag off Ray Houghton because he's not the top 5 in his position in the world. Whereas all the rest, because
he was in inverted commas a shit house, is what loads of people said about Ray Houghton.
He was just brilliant, you know.
Okay, that'll do us. Thank you very much, Rob Gutmann, Gareth Roberts, Ben Johnson, and people on the internet who gave me a really bum steer.